Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Slip Safety Show. I'm Christian Harris and I'm joined today by Christopher Hackett of Classic Marble. Now, in spite of the name, his business actually makes shower trays, and the reason I got him on the show is to discuss the topic of slip resistance and safety in shower trays. If you've ever stayed in a hotel or if you've got a shower tray at home, you'll know that these can be extremely slippery. But Christopher and his business have created a brand new product which, as he'll tell us, has recently been patented, which helps to solve this problem. It's called Senstec, and it's a great product, and I was keen to get him on the show to explain a bit about it and introduce it to you guys. So with that, let's get into it with Christopher Hackett from Classic Marble. Christopher Hackett, welcome to the Slip Safety Show.
Thank you for having me. Good morning.
Yeah, good morning. It's Saturday morning. We're obviously super keen to be talking about shower safety.
Well, yes, that's unlike you who works on Saturday. This is different for me now.
Yeah, I appreciate you giving up some of your weekend to have a chat with me. So thanks very much. Do you want to start by giving the audience a bit of background about you in terms of what you do, your business, and sort of how you started, a bit about your journey?
How long have we got here? Right, just a quick summary then. The business has been going since 1983. But before that, actually, that's when it was incorporated. It was my father that set it up and started to make artificial marble. Mm-hmm. And then after about 6 months, somebody approached him and asked him, could he make shower trays? So which he turned to shower trays and immediately, but kept the name Classic Marble. So shower trays is what the kind of company was based on. And then in the last 10, 11 years, then we started to delve into bathroom waterproofing products.
Yeah.
So definitely bathroom related.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And obviously when we met, it was all about this fantastic product, Senstec, which is the anti-slip shower tray you've created. But when did you first kind of become interested in the topic of safety as it relates to shower trays?
I'm not sure of the exact date, but I think it was whenever I, for some reason, was looking at the European standard for shower trays and noticed that anti-slip properties were not a consideration. That's what really perked my interest. I suppose I would have had another interest too, in that whenever I joined the business 11, 12 years ago properly, shower trays by that time were already a commodity product. The normal shower trays were absolutely a commodity product.
Yeah.
Just pressures from the Far East and then other UK, Irish manufacturers responding to that, and the price was just driven down to somewhere where it was not sustainable.
Yeah.
I think maybe the market is starting to see that now, but the normal shower trays are very much a commodity item. So we had a commodity item that we were manufacturing, and then there was this issue with non-slip.
Yeah.
I suppose other manufacturers helped us out a little bit as well, in that anti-slip shower trays started to become a thing.
Yeah.
And whenever you started to get into it, it was, well, this thing of anti-slip, you couldn't really measure it against any standard. So very much, and still is, a grey area. So
yeah,
don't know if that answered your question. A good 7 or 8 years ago anyway.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think it's true. I mean, I see a lot of, I work with a lot of hotel chains and go and look at bathtubs and shower trays that sort of have these kind of what they perceive as being anti-slip finishes on them. But really, when they're put under any scrutiny, they don't seem to do much, if anything. That's my experience.
In fairness, anything that has got any kind of anti-slip coating of any description or treatment is absolutely better than nothing.
Yeah.
Because a shower tray, the traditional commodity bog standard shower tray, without anything, we all know it's a slippery article.
Yeah.
The standard at the back says in one of the annexes, it's 4 lines, but I can paraphrase it very quickly. Slippery when wet, be aware.
Yeah, I was shocked when you told me that and showed me the big thick folder with that page highlighted.
Yeah, no, so it's just a little bit stuck at the back. So.
But the big problem I see is the ones that have the kind of the smoothed bobbles So kind of it's the same material, but it's just a smooth sort of circular, almost like a semicircle. And those I just think don't really do much at all, and they seem to be the most common.
Okay, right. This is from my perspective and my experience now. Although obviously I was involved in the business growing up through summer holidays and bits and pieces, so I know a few bits about shower trays, obviously. Those designs, which I think that you're referring to, in the olden days, manufacturers, that was their calling card. That was their shower tray. So if you saw a shower tray out in the field somewhere, well, in a building somewhere, you would know who the manufacturer was because of that particular design.
Oh, okay.
Okay, so that's my take on that. We had our own specific design as well. Other people had circles, other people had oblongs. So you would know by looking at it who manufactured it.
Okay.
But back to what I said about commodity, everything just went bog standard, flat, no design on it at all. However, back on just what you said, our customer base would have perceived that to be anti-slip because of that design. There you go. So that's the issue too. And nobody ever, the word anti-slip shower trays, as far as I'm aware, it's only relatively new in the last 4 to 5 years. Before that, I don't think you'll find any marketing literature with anti-slip on it.
No, well, I think I've been involved in this world for about 10 years as well, and I think the understanding of slip resistance and anti-slip has obviously come on a long way over that time frame. So I think people, at that time would have not even thought, well, they would have just expected it to be slippery because, well, it's a shower, it's bound to be slippery. So they probably wouldn't have even given it much thought. Whereas I think now architects and building managers and so on, and health and safety consultants, insurers are a bit more aware of this, and so they're looking for these kind of solutions now more frequently.
Well, they are. However, there's still an educational process to go through, and I can explain that by the fact that we had whenever we started this project, and we were coming on, we got one of the RIBA, the Royal Institute of British Architects, one of their course assessors, or don't know what the correct title would be, but anyway, we got him into the factory and we showed him what we were doing, and we pointed out the standards and the general anti-slip shower trays in the market, and he said, you need to put that into a CPD. You need to come out and you need to educate our members. So, well, we did do that, but to say the architects, it's just, everyone's just starting to gain a little bit more of an understanding of what it means.
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I've actually done recently an online sort of CPD, and I've just been sending that out to architects. So, given obviously everything that's going on, face-to-face meetings not being particularly common at the moment, I thought, well, let's do something digitally, and they can, if they watch it all to the end, they then have to sort of send an email to a special email address to get their certificate. So kind of you can't cheat the system. Not that an architect would cheat the system, because why would they bother? But and that seems to be going quite well. So because I know you've done a lot of CPDs with architectural practices, haven't you, over the years?
Yes, particularly in the last year and a half. And well, I don't know if I got more enjoyment out of educating these people or developing the product. One of the every architect that I've ever spoken to is very aware of the R value.
Yeah.
Okay, so they must have gone through, they all know what the R value is. And it's a question which I'm asked all the time. What's the R value for the Senstec?
Which is ironic, because an R value has nothing to do with the wet barefoot area.
Yes, exactly. Precisely. Whenever I explain that they need to be wearing a specific rubber-soled boot and using engine oil as a contaminant, and I could give you an R value, but not really relevant to our situation. So there's just an educational drive which is needed.
Yeah,
but that's all part of the process when you come up with something new.
Yeah, absolutely. And I think, I guess the reason probably why you don't know if you get more enjoyment about having developed the product or educating other people about it is because you're so passionate about it. So you probably actually get more enjoyment about sharing the love and spreading the knowledge, because actually you're opening people's eyes and making a positive impact in the real world. Because obviously, developing the product is great, but it's only great once you get it in front of people and they start buying it and using it, and people are benefiting from the the outcomes that it can give.
Exactly, but I also would like to just point out I do have a life outside of anti-slip shower trays as well.
Well, I'm glad for you, because I have very limited life outside of Slipstream. No, I do really, of course, but yes, no, that's good. So tell us about the product then. I've obviously seen it, which helps me because I kind of know what it looks like. But if you could try and explain, bearing in mind this will be a video, but also in a podcast, so sort of trying to explain, and we can give the link to marketing materials and things.
Right. Okay. Again, from experience with talking to customers and architects, with the marketing that has gone on prior to us by other companies, most people have an understanding of an anti-slip shower tray having an applied coating after the manufacture. So that's the starting point. So ours is completely different. What we have developed was something which is integrated into the actual manufacture of the tray. So every tray that's manufactured will have the same properties, and those properties that we have developed are in the form of cylinders, projected cylinders. Very basic way to describe it. There was a lot of detail and thought went into it. We actually went to an aerospace tooling design company, explained what we were up to, and asked them for assistance.
Yeah.
So I thought it'd be a simple matter of them drawing something up and saying, this is exactly what you need. So, well, they kind of did draw something up, but then they gave it back to us. We then converted that tool into a shower tray, and then we sent it out for testing, pendulum testing.
Yeah.
Then we got the results back, and then we shared the results with the tooling designer, who decided to make a change to see if he could improve it. And then the process kept going around in circles.
Yeah.
And we stopped the process on loop number 42. So
Wow.
there's 42 iterations of design before we got to where we wanted to go. Now, could we have stopped far sooner? Absolutely, 100%. We could have done. But the further we got into the journey, the more, well, I do have a life outside of this, the more passionate we got about making something very special.
Yeah.
And one of the things that we wanted to really get right was comfort, because let's face it, it's exceptionally easy to make something rough that will pass a pendulum test. That is, you don't need any kind of design experience to do that. But remember where this thing's being used, wet and barefoot. So you need to have something which is comfortable to stand on. So anyway, that was basically the process that we went through. And then whenever we kind of got ready for, no, sorry, let's just skip. I mentioned the pendulum. We also then, once we got to where we wanted to be, we sent it out for ramp test also. And well, how's the best way to describe this? I'm not political, right? Okay, and I know there's the pendulum debate. So anyway, we sent out the shower tray for the ramp test, and I followed the shower tray because I was skeptical about the ramp test. Very skeptical. And I can understand why people may be, but I witnessed it myself. And ever since I saw the ramp test being done, I am no longer a skeptic at all, because there's many disadvantages to it too, but it was real people in real world situation with real water and real contaminant. So, but anyway, so it was during that ramp test that we got, well, feedback which was unexpected, as in, this is incredibly comfortable. Okay, that was the feedback we got.
Yeah.
So,
no, that's good. I mean, yeah, just on the ramp test, I think I'm pretty open-minded. There are a lot of people that are quite closed-minded about different slip testing. So I've had on this show, Richard Bowman, who you know from the Slip Group, and I've had a guy called Russ Kenzior from the States, and just talking about all these international standards and things. And my view is, look, it's, if we're testing something, then that's better than nothing. So at least we're moving in the right direction. But I think the ramp test, to me, for your product is ideal, because exactly as you've said, it's real water, it's real soap and contamination and real people's feet. And actually, to have that for your shower tray is invaluable, I would suggest. In my world of looking at floors, it's a bit less helpful, because obviously you can't rip up a floor around a swimming pool and go and take it to have a ramp test, you need something you can test in the real world, which is where the pendulum comes in. But I think, you know, ideally you'd have both, wouldn't you?
Well, yes, we do have both, and exactly what you say. You can't rip a shower tray. Well, I suppose you could rip a shower tray out and send it to a lab, but the pendulum is recognised method. Is what the health and safety executive use when it comes to the crunch. So anyway, yes, we did use both. We used both test methods.
Yeah. Cool. And how's so? I mean, I first became aware of this in, when was it? 2015 was it that you sponsored the?
2016 October, 4 years ago. 4 years ago. So I've known you for 4 years, Mr. Harris.
There we go.
There you go.
And you're still talking to me.
We're still friendly. That's amazing.
Many people wouldn't say the same, but anyway.
So just whenever we started to get properly into this world, we became aware of the slip resistance group and the UK slip resistance group, and then the conference that was being held. So it made perfect sense for us to come and explain what we were all about. So that's why we decided to sponsor the event.
Yeah.
Because no, it was just something which was, we weren't ready to go to market. And some people would have said, well, why are you doing this? You don't have a product to sell. But it wasn't, the product to sell was going to come. What we were trying to do was to highlight improvements that could be made in the industry. That's the long and short of it.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And that was what I was going to say when I almost interrupted you, which was that I thought you weren't quite ready to sell it then. So when did you actually launch in terms of get first installations done?
About 18 months ago. So that was a long time after we sponsored the event.
Yeah.
I suppose it was held up a little bit by our internal production processes. We tried to do something different regarding the tooling, and it was a marvelous idea. It just didn't quite work as well as what we anticipated, so it sort of held us back a little bit. However, in the long run, it still was an amazing idea. We just changed the way we did our process. So long-term benefits, we had a lot of short-term pain.
Yeah, that's often the way. Yeah. And how's it going then? So I remember you telling me about was it a 5-star hotel in Ireland, which is one of the first sites you did?
Yes, that was an interesting one, and nobody's going to take any credit for this whatsoever. It's just one of those things that come along and you accept it when it does. But one of our customers in Dublin had one of our samples of the shower tray, and there was I think it was the owner or the managing director was using this particular customer for a refit, and he stumbled across this sample, and I think from the moment he touched it was the moment he said, "This is going into my hotel," and it was just as simple as that.
Yeah.
So that was a big coup for us. It really was. It was. Yeah. It gave us all a bit of a G up.
Yeah. Yeah, no, that's great. And how's it going then overall in terms of getting it out there and ramping up the sales and the installations?
Well, I suppose just going back on the Dromoland one, on paper, we were able to prove to everybody that it met and exceeded any test that the ramp could do, that it was far and above the pendulum, the PTV values required. We could also put in writing how comfortable it was to stand on, because we actually had a user experience study conducted by the podiatry department of the University of Ulster. So they ran with the entire project, and they organized people to do the tests. So anyway, we could put all that in writing, but what we couldn't put in writing was the fact of how easily cleaned our new design was. Because back at the start, whenever we were coming up with the kind of brief for the shower tray, it was a key thing. It must be easily cleaned.
Absolutely, yeah.
I hope I don't go too far off my track here, but I've done plenty of staying in hotel rooms, traveling around the place. Through work, I have to add, in case my wife's watching.
Ditto.
The anti-slip coating, filthy. Disgustingly dirty. That's just straight on how it is. They're just terrible. So they get dirty. But anyway, so at the start we had to have something which was easily cleaned, but we couldn't prove that. Dromoland Castle, there we go. We've got somewhere now where our shower trays are in, and they're cleaned.
Yeah.
So we got testimony from their housekeeping division of how easily these things were to clean. So again, that was the final piece in the jigsaw. So we got original G up for getting the shower trays into this lovely hotel, and then we got the testimony. 6 months later, these things are easily to clean. So we had all our ducks were lined up.
Yeah.
So anyway, I'm completely lost my track now. You were asking me a question, and
I was asking.
Well,
let's just stick to that point, and then I'll go back to the question, because actually, you're quite right that and what you said earlier, you know, it's very easy to plaster down an anti-slip resin on any surface and make it very textured and very anti-slip, but A, doesn't look very good. B, it's not very comfortable to walk on, and C, it's very hard to keep it clean. And I think the beauty of the product, the Senstec tray, is that you can tick all those boxes, but actually it's the clever design. So the surface is still the same, easily cleanable, smooth surface, but you've just manufactured the profile of it in such a way that it gives you the slip resistance and the comfort. So it is very easy to clean. And I think to me, that's the really clever bit. It's actually ticking all three boxes rather than just a couple. So I think.
Can I tell you who else thinks it's clever as well?
Go on, who else?
The UK Patent Office. Because we have had our UK patent through this week.
Oh, very good, very good.
Whenever I explain to people, and whenever they do see it, they just see, well, that's just a row of dimples. Okay, so it's a very clever, precise, engineered row of dimples.
Yeah.
So sorry, I just thought I'd put that plug in here. I may as well. It's Saturday morning, I should be in bed. I should be getting breakfast in bed. So
it's not that early.
Opportunity I get now.
It's not that early. I'm always up at 7 because of my young kids. So
yes, I have a 4-year-old. My 4-year-old doesn't allow me past 6:30 any day of the week.
No, exactly. So we're all guns firing. So what I was asking about was, so we've got the theoretical, we've got the practical now. So how how's it gone since you've got all of that in terms of the uptake and sales, I suppose, effectively?
Not great.
Okay.
Not great is the simple answer to that. It depends how you look at it, I should say. From my own perspective, it's not great because the numbers, as a manufacturer and as a factory, we have the potential to make many more.
Of course.
However, we have pitched this at the premium top end of the market.
Yeah.
Okay, so now that's just in sheer contrast to what I said earlier about the commodity shower trays.
Yeah.
So kind of touching on that. So first of all, I'm going to answer your question. It's not going as well as what is expected. However, we are going to be doing something about that.
Yeah.
This patent that came through, we've got big marketing campaigns which have just started. This is just very coincidental that I'm talking to you today, but it's right at the start of a 12-month project that we're about to embark on. So it's all going to come well. But back to the commodity item, it's absolutely foreign. Okay, and that's the best way to describe it. For somebody working in a showroom to sell an expensive shower tray. Of course. The concept of a premium shower tray, it's just not there. Yeah. We've tried so hard, and we are continuing to try, but that's what the basic problem is. The concept of upselling a shower tray is not there.
Yeah. I think there are some I don't know what you call them, showrooms, distributors or whatever, particularly in London, I know, because we did our house up a few years ago. So we were looking around the whole range of these different places. And obviously some of them are more high end than others. And I'm sure they would be, upselling you on the shower door and the fixtures and fittings and all that stuff. But they probably, as you say, would just look at the shower tray as kind of bog standard commodity. So it's probably just another education piece because they've got the skills to upsell, but they just don't know about how to upsell the shower tray specifically.
And it's back to the standards also. There's a lot of, because an item says anti-slip on it, that's good enough for the people selling it. They go, that's an anti-slip shower tray. Why is this one a third of the price of this one? And it's still anti-slip. So education. Yeah, absolutely. I'm sure it'll come. I think these things I think any new concept just takes a bit of time, and I suppose it's just a groundswell of building up these case studies and these kind of champions, I suppose, that are pushing it. So
mean, I've been mentioning it to hotel chains, and whether that's led to any business, I don't know. But there's a good, maybe in the long run it will. So I think we've got to keep, anything like this that promotes improved safety. To me, we've got to be pushing it strongly, and eventually it will take off, I think.
Yes, now, don't get me wrong, our sales are growing all the time,
Yeah.
but it was a very low base, as in
Yeah.
zero, a few
Yeah, of
years
course.
ago.
Yeah. Well, it's a new product, isn't it? So yeah. And what does obviously you're kind of shaking things up quite significantly here. So what does the rest of the industry think about this?
That's a good question. So we are part of the Bathroom Manufacturers Association, have been for the last 10 years. They just had their AGM at the start of this week, which was done online.
Yeah.
So normally it would be a networking dinner the night before, there would be the AGM, there would be a conference, and there'd be a black tie dinner. And to be fair, that was the 2 nights of the year which I really did enjoy, because it was the people from the industry just all congregated in the one spot. It was just, but anyway, last year we actually decided to sponsor the conference. So we were the headline sponsor. So we took the brand to the BMA conference. So shaking things up, that's not the way that I want to look at it at all. In fact, it's just not the thinking whatsoever. As I said earlier, anything that has got any kind of coating or is better than nothing. Okay, and that's the case. So the industry, it's better when an industry self-regulates, is the long and short of it. They have to self-regulate. So all I'm doing is just letting people know what we're doing. I'm not shaking up the market at all. We're definitely on our own path here. And the more people who are interested, the better. Having the patent through now, once we start explaining that, hopefully people will look at us now and go, okay, so they have got something special here. There is something industry changing. Let's see what is going on here. How can we make our own product better? Because that's what it is. Everybody knows how slippery shower trays. I know I'm repeating myself, but we just accept it.
Yeah.
It's incredible that we just accept it.
Yeah.
But anyway.
Yeah. I think I think it's it might be worth trying to engage with some of the insurers, that focus on hotels, perhaps. I suppose one of the challenges will be that, right now, I guess many hotels, given the economic situation, are not going to be probably postponing refurbishments, because I guess that's the point in time typically when you'd get involved, isn't it, if they're going to refurbish. But then new builds are happening, aren't they? So, but I think, the cost of a slip claim in a shower, is 10 grand, but or plus. So if you think about it from an insurance company perspective, for every hotel they've got that risk quite significantly. They might have 2 or 3 a year. That's quite a lot of money. So the cost of actually installing a good product to try and prevent that, in comparison to having the claims year after year after year, bearing in mind obviously the benefit of your product lasts for decades. Actually, it should be a no-brainer, really, if you look at it that way.
Yes, absolutely. And if I was a hotelier, they'd be going to my hotel, no question about it. But as I say, it's back to the more people who hear about it and see it. And I suppose the feedback that we've had generally from the Senstec shower trays is, it's hard to explain. The feedback is better than we could have ever hoped for. Is the best way to describe it. And people are still giving it to us. And it's a kind of our marketing company kind of made me rethink about this again, because we've been hearing it all the time. We kind of got a bit, well, that's why we designed it. We wanted it to be special, but we're kind of a bit oblivious to it, if you know what I mean. So,
this is gonna, you know who I'm going to start talking about now?
No.
Our friend. Oh, sorry for the noise in the background. That's my 2.5-year-old. Our friend, Mr. Priestley.
Mr. Priestley.
Yes. From Dent, who I introduced you to. Because it's proximity bias. You're standing on your mountain of value because you see it and you're right there day to day, and you sort of forget that people don't know that. So you need to start getting it out there in the world.
There you go. Yes, exactly right. Exactly right. So.
Yeah.
Always. That was one good point out of that afternoon. All right.
I know you were a bit more skeptical than me.
Not anymore. You've converted me now. I apologize.
There we go. Is there anything I haven't asked you that I should have done, or if not, I'm keen for you to explain to people, how they can learn more, how they can get involved. For any architects, how could they get a sample, or how could they book in a CPD, and so on and so forth.
Well, on the Reba network, my details would be there, but the best way to contact me is my phone number or email address. Email is simply christopher.hackett@classic-marble.com. And my mobile number 079 121 22637. So there's no better way of contacting me than that.
Yeah, I'll include those in the notes as well, so people don't have to rewind and scribble it down and so on and so forth.
Perfect. Yes, I should have actually thought about that.
No, that's okay. No worries. Great. Well, thanks very much for your time. As I say, I'm a huge fan of the product, and I was really keen to get you on to kind of explain it, and hopefully, this will introduce it to a few more people as well, and we can get some momentum behind it. So keep up the great work, and look forward to whenever we can getting back together again and having a coffee or something a bit stronger.
Yeah, no, listen, thank you very much. I appreciate that. Now, anything like this helps. So, thanks.
Great.
Thanks, Christian.
Thanks.